Let's take a look at Cemetry Gates by the Smiths, and this is my annual Johnny Marr guitar video. I don't know if it's quite been a year since I looked at my last Johnny Marr track, but it's been quite some time, and I do like to space out my Johnny Marr videos. Tempting though it is to look at a Smiths tune every other week. I don't want to become that guy who's always doing Smiths stuff. And also I think this one qualifies as my Halloween special, Cemetry Gates. There's kind of a loose Halloween connection in there, I think. And though I know how to play quite a number of Smiths songs, I've never really attempted to play this one before, so I've actually really enjoyed learning this one over the past week or so. There's lots of interesting things going on. I'm going to focus on the main acoustic part, which is played in an open tuning, and I'm also going to try and discuss some of the other guitar layers that you can hear in there. So let me begin by playing through the track for you. This one is from 1986 and it appears on the album The Queen Is Dead. And it's always a challenge with Smith stuff and with Johnny Marr stuff. And it's a fun challenge to actually get to the bottom of exactly what he's doing on these recordings. And part of the difficulty, I think, is he's just got such a unique approach to the instrument and he never does things in a conventional way. And the other difficulty, I think, is he was a real master at layering up multiple guitar parts, which makes it difficult to discern exactly what's going on with any one given guitar part, just because it's hard to hear past all the other stuff that's going on. But I'm going to do my best here today, and I think it's fairly widely known that this one is played in open G tuning. At least the main acoustic part is played in open G, and that's something that Johnny himself has spoken about. And there's actually a video that you can see, which I think initially appeared on his Instagram, where he's playing through a bit of the tune. So that was super helpful to follow what he's doing there, and my version is fairly heavily based on that, and also just listening very closely to the original recording. So that acoustic part is going to be the main focus of this video, but I also want to talk a little bit about some of the other stuff that you can hear, and there's some electric guitar things going on, and whether or not those parts are played in open G as well, or whether they're played in standard tuning, or whether it's a mixture of the two, I'm not altogether sure, but I'm going to give you some ideas and some thoughts on what might be going on with those other parts as well. But let's get started with looking at that acoustic part. Let's begin by getting in tune, and it's open G tuning, and what that means is we're tuning our open strings to the notes in a G chord. So those notes are G, B and D. So we're going to take the low E string down to a D, and the A string is going down to G, and the next three strings are the same as standard tuning. So we've got D, G and B, and then the top string is also going down to a D. So that gives us our open G chord. And moving on to the song itself, we've got three basic sections. There's an introduction and what I'm going to call the verse section of the song, and then we've got a bridge section as well. So let's begin with the introduction, and that starts like this. And the song is in the key of G, and we've got three chords here. We've got a C, a D, and a G. And the C chord we're playing like this. So we're at the 5th fret. I'm holding down the 5th fret on the 5th string and the 3rd string and the 2nd string as well. So I'm using my 2nd finger, 3rd finger and a little finger, and that's giving us kind of a C chord sound. And I think there are also some open strings in there as well. Those are the 3 notes that I'm fretting, but you can actually let some or all of the other strings ring open. It kind of varies a little bit throughout the song which of these strings are ringing open, but certainly some of the time you can hear some open strings ringing in there as well. So that's our C chord. Then we're just taking that up 2 frets, so it becomes a D, and then we've got the open strings giving us our G chord. And then there's just a little melody played on the top string. I'm just playing the 4th fret on the top string there. Let's talk straight away about the rhythmic feel of this one then. And there's a continuous 16th note strumming pattern in this one. So for pretty much the whole song, I'm just keeping my strumming hand moving up and down in that 16th note rhythm. So 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. And I'm throwing in some variations in terms of when I'm accenting the strings, when I'm hitting them harder, and sometimes I'm missing the strings or playing them very lightly, but for the most part this hand is just moving continuously up and down in that rhythm for the entire tune. So and notice that we're changing chords on some of the syncopated parts of the beat here. So it's 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and. So changing on the up strum there, and that's one of the things that gives this song its rhythmic interest, I think, is you're not always changing on the 1 or the and of one. Often it's on those in between beats. So if you're counting your 16th notes, 1 E and a, you're changing on the E sometimes or the sometimes as well. So you can hear there's just a variation there as well. We play the main pattern a couple of times, then we're doing this. So we're going from the C to the D, and then we're going back from the D to the C. And then it ends with. So put that all together and you've got the introduction. Moving on to the verse, and that starts like this. So starting off, I'm just holding down the 12th fret on the top string, doing that with my 3rd finger, and strumming the rest of the strings open. Then I'm just moving that 3rd finger over to the 12th fret on the 2nd string, and then going down to the 10th fret. And then I've got some thirds on the 2nd and 3rd string, so the 12th fret, and then going down to this shape here, so fret 11 on the 3rd string and 10 on the 2nd string. And again, I'm throwing in some open strings around those fretted notes as well. And then coming down to this bar at the 5th fret, that's giving us our C chord. I think rhythmically that's where on the recording he lets that chord hang a little bit. So we've got that 16th note strum. that C chord hang. Then we're just taking that up 2 frets from C to D. Then we've got this. So we've got a new chord shape here. We've got frets 9 on the 5th string and 9 on the 4th string, open 3rd string and 8 on the 2nd string. And well, that's giving you a kind of minor chord sound. I suppose this is like an E minor chord. And then we're moving down once again, and these 2 chords here, as I'm hearing them, they're slightly different from the shapes that are used in the introduction. So here I'm actually fretting at 7 on the 5th and 4th strings. I've got the open 3rd string this time, and then the 7th fret on the 2nd string. So it's slightly different from the shape used in the introduction. And then moving that same shape down. So, and then sliding it up again. If I put that together with the first part of the verse. And once again, notice how we're very often changing chords on the up strum. Then the verse goes round again. Extended a little bit when it repeats, so we've got we're going back to the C and then the D, and then we're ending with the open strings, and then I'm just putting down the 2nd fret on the 4th string and 1st fret on the 2nd string. So that's the complete verse. Moving on to the bridge section, and that starts like this. So we've got this chord shape, really beautiful sound. So it's 4th fret on the 5th and 4th strings, 2nd fret on the 3rd string, and open pair of strings on top. And that's giving you a kind of B minor sound, maybe a B minor 7 kind of a sound. And then, like in the introduction, we've got a little melody played on the top string. So it's just the open strings and then the 4th fret. So keeping that continuous 16th note strum going, but I'm accenting certain of those strums, I think. So you certainly don't want to strum all of those chords with the same kind of intensity. That just makes it sound very flat. You've got that. You want to give it a little bit of light and shade with the way that you accent it. So. And then the bridge continues like this. So this is the same C shape that we had in the introduction, but adding a bit of a sus4 kind of sound. So I'm just moving my pinky, my little finger, up by 1 fret. So it's going from C to C sus4 and then back. Same thing up 2 frets. And then to this E minor shape. It's the same shape that we had in the verse. This shape here, this is the same shape we had for the C and the D, but this time we're playing it at the 10th fret, and there could well be some open strings in there as well. So if I put all of that together slowly, that's the bridge section. And I think that's really it for the acoustic parts. For the outro, it's just the same as the intro. We're just repeating this, repeating that part until it fades out. Quick guitar change, and let's talk about some of the other guitar parts that are going on here. And as I said at the start of the video, I can't unpick exactly what's going on. Unfortunately, I don't have access to the original multi-track recordings, and it's very difficult to hear some of the details of these parts. But what I decided to do is just do one pass of electric guitar and try and get in some of the ideas that I'm hearing both on the original recording and on some of the live versions that I've checked out. And it may not be totally authentic to what Johnny Marr is playing, but I hope it's fairly true to the spirit of the tune. So I'm doing all of this in standard tuning, and for the introduction I wasn't really playing very much at all. I was just playing some very minimal single notes. Just 7th fret on the 2nd and 3rd strings, just really doubling the same melody that's played in the acoustic guitar part. And then for the verse I was playing mainly double and triple stops on the top 3 strings. So for the first bar of the verse I wasn't playing anything at all, I was just letting the acoustic guitar carry it. And then I was playing this. So again, doubling the acoustic part, the thirds acoustic part. So it's 12 on the 2nd and 3rd strings, then going down to 11 and 10, and then moving that shape down 2 frets. And then triads. This is just a C triad and a D triad. And then more triads, but this time on the top 3 strings. So an E minor triad, this is the 12th fret on the top 3 strings. And then coming down to a D and a C. And then the verse goes round again, so I'm just resting for a bar, then more thirds, and the C to D, just 1 strum on each of those, and then so the same as in the acoustic part, it's extended on the repeat, but it's the same shapes. And then we're going to G. And if you like, you could just play an open G chord and then put down these 2 fingers, so you've got that kind of C over G sound. Then for the bridge, it's more triads. So B minor going to G. So this is the 7th fret on the top 3 strings, then going to frets 7, 8 and 7. Just letting that B minor hang. Then just arpeggiating that G triad. And just throwing in the open top string as well. I can hear this on a live version, I think, which is a nice part. You can make that G a G sus4. And then I'm just playing the same chords that the acoustic is playing, but I'm just using these A-shape bar chords. So C, D, E minor, and then F. And then for the final verse, you can hear some more variations, and I'm playing this part based on 6. So a really pretty part. It's quite country sounding, and you also hear this kind of thing in soul and R&B guitar. So it's 6 in the key of G major. And we're basing our part on those little double stop shapes. If you're not familiar with those shapes, I have done a detailed video on 6. I'll put a link to that on screen. But we're starting down here. It's the 4th fret on the 3rd string and 3rd fret on the top string. So you can think of these shapes as belonging to bigger chord structures if you like. So that's actually giving you the 3rd and the root of a G major bar chord. Just working our way up the fretboard to this shape here, frets 9 and 8, and those 2 notes are giving us the 3rd and the root of the C chord. So moving that shape 2 frets higher to give us the D sound. And then I'm playing the same triad little lick that I had before. More 6. And completing the verse, just playing the same part as in previous verses. Okay, let me take you through the gear that I'm using in this video, and apologies for my voice, by the way. I don't know if you can hear that on the video, but it seems to have deteriorated slightly as I've been making this video. I think I'm coming down with a cold or something, but not going to let that get in the way of me delivering the content to you. So the acoustic that I'm using is my Martin. It's a 0015M, so M for mahogany, and it's a nice, I guess it's kind of a parlour-sized acoustic guitar, very comfortable to play, and you know, I like the way it sounds, I like the way it records. And I've spoken about this before, but I like quite played in and dead strings on my acoustic guitars. I don't like that kind of really zingy new string sound on acoustics. So yeah, these strings are very old indeed. You can probably see it in the video that they're looking a little bit tarnished. I probably should change them at some point, but for now they're still sounding good to me. And for the electric parts, I was using my Jazzmaster and not using a real amp today. I was going through my Kemper profiler, and I think I had some kind of Fendery profile pulled up on that. I think it's a Princeton reverb profile. I know I've got a real Princeton reverb sitting down there, but sometimes it's just more convenient to use the Kemper. Just plug straight into that and you can get a really nice recorded sound without any hassle. That's it for today's video. As usual, full tab and my own backing track will be available up on my Patreon page, so check that out should you be interested. Thanks very much for watching. I will see you next time.